Now we're going to talk to Lord Robert Hayward, and we're going to talk to him particularly about the Tory leadership race, but also, I guess, we'll add in a bit of migration, because why wouldn't we? Lord Hayward, good morning, and thank you very much indeed for joining me on Talk.
Good morning, Russell. Do call me Robert.
Can I? Thank you very much for the permission. Thank you. I never know. I mean, when someone's a sir or a lord, which I love, by the way, I love the tradition and the pomp and ceremony of all this, but I never know quite how to address our superiors, should I say. So, Robert, thank you very much indeed. What do you think of yesterday, then, the fact that Tom Tugendhat was knocked out? I don't, frankly, know of whom you are a supporter, but are you happy with the final three, and who do you think is going to end up in the final two?
Well, just to clarify, I've been covering and analysing Tory leadership contests for many decades. Sadly, there have been rather a lot over that period, probably too many. I'm actually supporting James Cleverly, but it's the first time since 1990 that I've actually come out in support of a candidate. Normally, I do the analysis, the commentary with broadcasters, print media, etc. But on this occasion, I have come out for James.
Why is that, Robert? Why have you put your head above the parapet now?
Because I think there were a series of missteps by the other candidates at the party conference and in the run-up to it. And I just thought that James, with his experience as Foreign Secretary and Home Secretary, and his appeal to the public in that he seems normal, and the public seem to be wanting somebody who returns politics to normal. We've had all the interesting and the tragedy and the awful over the last few years, and the indications are in the polls that people are attracted to James, and I think he would provide that stability to the Tory party.
But you say that, but if you look at the latest YouGov poll of Conservative Party members, of course, a diminished number. It's gone from 100,000 to about 60,000 members, as I understand it, as a consequence of the approach by Rishi Sunak in particular over the last couple of years. You might not want to comment on that, but that's a fact. Now 60,000 members. The majority of members actually seem to favour Kemi Badenoch, and in second place, Robert Jenrick. In third place, as far as members are concerned, is James Cleverly. So I think there's an issue there, a question in terms of the disparity between the parliamentary Conservative Party and what MPs favour in terms of who should go forward as the leader and what the membership like. But it would seem, despite what you've said, James Cleverly is not favoured by the Tory membership. How do you square that circle?
I think you got your numbers on party membership slightly wrong, but that doesn't matter.
Is it less?
The real issue is the question of the polls. And we saw at the general election, all the opinion polls were completely way out in terms of, they'd have predicted the right victor, but by such an enormous error that Professor Will Jennings of Southampton University says it's the most inaccurate the polls have ever been in this country. In terms of the polls of Tory party membership, if they can't get the voting intentions of the big political parties, which they have experience of doing over years, the one thing you shouldn't do is actually start quoting opinion polls of Tory party members, which is a subset of a subset. As you say, it's a very small number. And I'm not sure that, in fact, I'm pretty clear that the figures that you're quoting are actually wrong.
In terms of popularity?
I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the polling companies.
YouGov, yeah. But YouGov are probably the most prominent and highly regarded and respected polling organisation in Britain, aren't they?
Well, I've got in front of me the polling inaccuracies for the general election, and there was no one polling company that came anywhere near the actual percentages of 34%, 24%.
But that's a very different thing, Robert. So predicting percentages and swings is a very, very different thing simply just to predicting overall popularity and an ultimate victor. I mean, we're talking about a much more basic and binary thing here. We're saying that the membership don't favour James Cleverly, even though the parliamentary party do.
I'm just saying that you shouldn't take as an indicator opinion polls who have a record of proven inaccuracy over a long period of time. You have to be very, very cautious in relation to the citing of any particular opinion poll.
Okay. So let's assume that you get your way and that your candidate, your man, James Cleverly, wins. I'm now trying to picture him at the dispatch box as PMQs. We have PMQs today, of course. Peter Cardwell will be in later critiquing and analysing that at about 12:30, by the way. But of course, at the moment, it's Rishi Sunak, who has gone from Prime Minister to leader of His Majesty's opposition. I would actually venture that he's doing a much better job, really, although he's rather invisible. But certainly when it comes to the dispatch box, he's doing a better and more confident job, I think, as leader of the opposition rather than Prime Minister. But Robert, honestly, I'd struggle to see James Cleverly at the dispatch box, even against a hapless Keir Starmer, the robot that he is. I don't see dynamism. I don't see vigour in James Cleverly. Be honest.
I actually think that's not fair of James. I like and know all the different candidates, going back from 6 down to now 3 and 2 later on today. But I think anybody who knows James knows that he's a man of integrity and man of competence. And he's been at the dispatch box as Home Secretary and as Foreign Secretary for a fair period of time. That's his experience.
But can we think of anything dynamic that he's said or that he stands for? Any headline that he's generated where you think, wow, this is an impressive politician, a man of conviction, a man of great words, a great orator, another Michael Gove or Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage? He's certainly not in their league, is he?
No, I'd agree with that. He wouldn't pretend to be. But having said that, if you look at the Tory party conference last week, he was deemed to have made the best speech that gained the response from the party members in the auditorium. And that's the measure that people are looking at this moment.
He's, Robert, I think he's just a safe bet. I think he's your John Major. Your John Major candidate. And I think if James Cleverly, as many people actually are saying on social media over the last 24 hours, I think if James Cleverly becomes leader, whilst I'm sure he's a very nice chap, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, frankly, I think he is lacklustre. I don't think people know what he stands for, and I don't think it's what your party needs. What you need is a proper, dyed-in-the-wool, genuine, authentic Conservative that can take the fight away from reform and also fight Keir Starmer at the dispatch box and in political terms, so particularly with regard to the media, and actually reinvent yourselves as the Conservatives that you're supposed to be.
I think I could disagree with a whole series of your observations there, Russell, but we'll just have to wait and see. We don't know that James is going to win the leadership. What is striking is that yesterday, when the result came through, James had shot up in terms of the number of votes from a very small group of parliamentary representatives, 121 MPs. But he was the one who had garnered real momentum from the parliamentary party. That's not an accident. That's as a result of the campaign that we've seen over the last few months.
OK, Lord Hayward, thank you very much indeed for your time this morning, or Robert, as I can now call him. Thank you very much indeed. Benedict, quick reaction from you. Are you impressed by Cleverly?
No, I'm not. But I'm not impressed by any of them. And I'm not trying to be sort of morose about this, but actually, where you were sort of talking about what they need is this sort of dyed-in-the-wool Tory, but actually what I see is a party that's completely lacking in talent, and this is why this leadership contest was always going to be a bit of a dud, because the party has managed to hollow itself out in terms of getting in career sort of party men like James Cleverly, or people who are frankly a little bit, nutty, people like Kemi Badenoch, who say some of the right things but are abrasive and are not actually electable. She's not electable. There is nobody really, though, with any great vision for what the country needs or anything like that. They sort of talk about the same things, they give good speeches on the stump. Where actually, though, is the MP, is the person setting out a definitive industrial plan for however long they plan on being in power that would solve the problem, rather than just saying, oh, well, we need this, we need that. Where is the brain, if you like, putting forward the vision? Because I don't see that in Cleverly. I don't think anybody could actually tell me what his vision is on nuclear power or anything like that. The same with Jenrick, same with Badenoch. But do you know what I'm also going to say? It's the same with reform. Actually, right now, Reform are doing very well in the polls, even though they've not really got anything beyond migration and the ECHR and very low tax. That's 3 things that's a good start. But actually, is there a coherent plan? It doesn't exist. And it's a problem across the right, which is basically, lots of people are sat there going, it's all about the optics, just wait for Labour to mess it up, and then we'll waltz in if we have the right message. That's the wrong way of doing politics.
It looks like that vacuum will still exist for Reform to fill, I suspect.